Contrary to what we have been led to believe, a utopian society is possible on Earth. Looking at the current state of chaos in the world and what humankind has been going through for millenniums now, although centuries ago the art of cooperation and unity had been mastered, we need to ask the question, why are we caught in this unending hell despite the existence of such technological advances, inventions, innovations and the unquestionable and undeniable ability to immediately and decisively eradicate poverty, inequality, suffering and unnecessary deaths? Countless technological leaps are made every day, and providing for all of humankind is a simple task that can be achieved with not much resources or labor. We have machines today that do in 1 minute what took 100 workers 1 week to do centuries ago. Machines extract and create more in less time and using less energy. Food and resources is abundant enough to feed more than twice the current world population. So why are there still people starving all over the planet? The answer is the capitalist and monetary system, which only seeks profit and in which there must and will always be inequality, exploitation, lack of humanity and especially common sense. In capitalism, even if there is an abundance of food and there is starvation and need, if the needy cannot pay the price, it will actually sit there and rot. Meanwhile people die and suffer. Capitalism more than anything holds humankind in a system of inequality, individualism and profit-seeking, instead of allowing civilization to simply do the sensible and intelligent thing. Just about every current peril on this earth can be directly linked to capitalism, and the most viable solution is worldwide unity and the sharing of resources. All of society's resources and energy needs to be put to the unified well-being of all people, along with scientific research, physical and mental health, agriculture, environment, alternative energies and human species survival. Capitalism will never allow us to accomplish all that we need to and will only keep us back. It would be selfish, cowardly, irresponsible and unintelligent for us as conscientious people to follow the old notion of, we didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world was turning, Billy Joel. It is our obligation to out any social fires that exist, so that our preceding generations will have a house, Earth, to live in. Even the United Nations and its chapters are only band-aids to humanity's dilemmas and will never be allowed to change much, because it is all linked to profit systems. The current situation of chaos in which humankind finds itself in today, with so much unnecessary suffering and uncountable deaths, along with possible extinction, should motivate us all to a constant state of urgency and action towards positive change. As a conscious people, civilization and species, we must take immediate action to unite as one world and act with equality, love and logic before it is too late and the human species becomes extinct. The current state of division amongst the human species will surely lead to our demise if we are not able to quickly unite our forces and resources in an intelligent, responsible and conscientious manner. Let's face it, there is no good reason why the basic needs of all of humankind are not free of charge and readily available. The problem? We're stuck in an illogical economic system called capitalism. Why does it still remain? Simply because it impulses economic inequality and keeps the rich and the descendants at the top of society's power structure. No other reason exists. And if you really look at the big picture, you will realize that capitalism, privatization, money, rent, fees and especially taxes, are mass control tactics for New Age enslavement. The new way for the rulers of the 20th and 21st century to keep the slaves, laborers in need and in turn have you, us do all the labor needed to sustain their reign at the top. The haves and have-nots is maintained through capitalism and is not natural, for it is unbalanced and hence unfair. Land rent is one of these tactics and social tentacles. Soup kitchens in the US reported that most families who go to food pantries for free food say that they are faced with the economic dilemma of just having enough money to pay rent, shelter or food, light or gas, water or medicine. These are the decisions that the majority of humankind are forced to make every day, while the only decision for the sinfully rich is gold or platinum, French or Italian, the mansion or condo. As improvements in technology and production increase, so should the earnings of the labor force, but if you're trying to maintain control of them, you have to make sure they never gain enough wealth to move themselves out of poverty, need and therefore exploitation. Especially anything that gives them independence and autonomy. So land is privatized to be able to charge the New Age work slave rent and make them give back their earnings to the ruling upper class, who own most of the land, real estate and stores. New Age ruling elites and oligarchs charge the citizens taxes just as the kings of the past demanded from their serfs and slaves. Most plantation and slave owners of the past acquired vast areas of land and wealth only by successful treachery, and it is all being passed down from generation to generation. The rich stay rich and the poor get poorer in a capitalist system. This is outrageous for us as conscientious people to allow and condone. Economic reparations are vital in a capitalist system to bring a bit of equality to the historically exploited, but to wait for that and continue in such a corrupt system is not the answer either. The answer and best option available to us is simply a social system that puts humanity, equality, unity, cooperation and intelligence in every thought, plan and action. Being a byproduct of egoism, capitalism naturally impulses individualism, consumerism, separatism, xenophobia and violence in world culture. Currently, capitalism can be defined as an instrument of the ruling class for solely maintaining economic control and subjugation of the suffering majority world. The wealth colonization and slave labor created carries on as capital in the fortunes of the descendants of every single person that benefited from the franchise of slavery and exploitation. With the constantly growing economic divide, poor people may never be able to get out of poverty. Another vessel of exploitation is caste systems. These systems maintain inequality and create division amongst the people to better control, slave, oppress and rob them. Citizens are used against each other through divide and conquer tactics by way of the subtle but psychologically penetrating propaganda tactics. 10 inches as of now, the world financial system is on the brink of collapse due to its own shortcomings. This theoretically means total bankruptcy for the US economy. And its implications for the world are immense. In turn, the fractional reserve-based monetary system is reaching its theoretical limits of expansion, and the banking failures you are seeing are just the beginning. This is why inflation is skyrocketing, all debt is at record levels and the government and Fed are hemorrhaging new money to bail out the corrupt system. For the only way to keep the banks going is by making more money. The only way to make more money is to create more debt and inflation. In the start of the 21st century, hundreds of millions of people still die every year unnecessarily due to classicism, racism and inequality in a capitalist system. Look at what we have had to deal with and are still dealing with on this troubled earth, with rampant chaos, suffering and violence. We need to wise up and do something about it, in essence, finalize the struggle for world liberation from the ignorance in man that breeds egoism, inequality, oppression, exploitation and death. We casually live life like all is fine in the world and there are no pressing issues like a livable habitat for future generations and the need for drastic social change to simply save humankind. We relax, party and purposefully waste time while consciously knowing that hundreds of millions of people, babies, kids, pregnant women, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers and the sick, are suffering and dying. Our long-term goals must be to create as much of a heaven as we can on this earth, or wherever our abilities takes us in the cosmos as intelligent and very capable beings. What kind of world are we leaving our babies, our youth, our future? What have we done? If you believe in God, what if God asks you, what did you do for your brothers and sisters on earth while here and aware? What were you doing against the evils of man that you witnessed? How many times were you on the side of good? How many times did you rest when you had energy to help another to help all? How many times and for how long did you remain silent and motionless while witnessing evil, sin and injustice? According to United Nations poverty reports from UNICEF and UNDP, over 35,000 children die each day due to poverty, and the majority are from the most exploited nations that actually have valuable resources. Over 35% of all children in exploited nations are estimated to be underweight or stunted. There are a little over 2 billion children worldwide and more than half live in poverty, without adequate shelter, healthcare or clean water. 1 in 3 without adequate shelter. 1 in 5 with no access to safe water. 1 in 7 with no access to health services. Over 1.5 million die each year from lack of access to safe drinking water and adequate sanitation. Worldwide, over 11 million die before reaching the age of 5. Too many people die and suffer unnecessarily, and the time is now, or more like yesteryear, or rather yestercentury, for good to overpower evil on this forsaken planet. We cannot allow this system of world oppression and annihilation to continue. We have no choice anymore, but to do whatever we have to as a people and species, or we will have no future. We live in a social hell and must create as much of heaven on earth as we know is possible and needed. Only unity and organization can bring about the profound transformation needed to progress and survive. Now more than ever, civilization as a whole needs to unite and revolt against the current oppressive state establishments that keep us in an evil and chaotic hell. If we allow the capitalist system of inequality to continue across the globe, we will only sink deeper into the ditch of oppression, slavery, genocide, war and exploitative control of the masses, and nothing truly progressive, substantial and humanitarian will ever be accomplished for humankind. We need to realize that as a